I am coming to you today from my office. I'm in the office today. And on the way here, I was listening to a podcast that sparked a thought in my head about how sometimes we think we need to do one thing in business, and what we really need to do is something completely different. So it's actually not even sometimes, a lot of the times. So the episode is called Go Right to Go Left, and it comes from Cars, the movie. If you've never seen it, it's the race car is learning how he has a really hard time. Every time he needs to take a left-hand turn around the track, he ends up going into the wall. And then the older car tells him to go right instead of left, and it will help him to get around that corner. So it makes sense when you think about it in a literal term like that. You actually have to turn your will to the right to be able to turn into that. But in life and in business, it is so true as well. So the episode I was listening to was The Power of One, and it's a BNI podcast. And it was talking about giver's gain. And that's so important. It is so important. It's one of the reasons people ask how we have grown the way we've grown. We've grown because from the very beginning, I made connections with people. I made not just connections with me and other people, but I would meet somebody and I would say, hey, you need to meet this person who I just met. And I would connect them. And even today, I see that same thing grow. The really great thing is in my office, everybody has that same mentality. Everybody in my office is constantly connecting other people. So we actually called our show Small Business Connections, not because it is about creating business for other people, which it is, but because of that small business connections mentality. If you come to our office, there are bridges all over the place, and it's because we're constantly making those connections. And it sounds counterproductive. If I introduce people who start working together, will they not leave me? No, they're grateful for it. And I had a really good example of this morning. A couple of weeks ago, I was on the show Lead Loudly, and I was on the Twitter chat. And a few weeks before that, I had Kate Chernis from Lately on my show. And so we had these two things happen at one time. And I knew as soon as I met both of these women, oh my God, I absolutely have to connect you two. And I did. And Thursday night, today is Tuesday. So Thursday night, so 2 days from today, Kate will be on the show with Natalie, and they'll be talking about content creation. And it's a big coup for Natalie because her Lead Loudly is relatively new, and it's great for Kate because she's going to be in front of other people. So it's really nice. The two of them are very grateful that I connected them, and we will do other things together. It's really important you do that. So make those connections. Same thing, giver's gain, right? We talk about giver's gain a lot in BNI. This is what the whole thing is based off of. I give referrals. It doesn't necessarily mean I will get referrals back from that same person. I'll get referrals from other people in the group. But when we give, we get. When we give, what we put out there comes back to us. It is true every single time. I believe in it. Maybe it's karma. I don't know. It's just always comes back to us. We see it time and time again. But why am I talking to you about this when I own a digital marketing agency? I don't own a networking company. I own a digital marketing agency. Well, the same thing is true. When we started this podcast, we started with the idea that I have a lot of followers personally on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. And I was so afraid of what was going to happen during the quarantine that I thought, let's get my clients in front of my followers, right? We'll start it that way. We will give back to my clients in a way that's not part of our package, but we just want to do something more. And then we started doing it for other people who weren't our clients. And what happened from that is we grew. Unexpectedly, I was not trying to grow ASMM in this process. I was trying to not lose my clients. So we unexpectedly won. We won new clients because we were giving back. So it's a really great thing to look at. But also, and this is something that I hadn't seen, when we were doing this, the idea wasn't to go on and say, hey, come and use the chimney service by Chimney Tech. It was to say, hey, as an entrepreneur, here's something you can learn from a guy who's been in business for 25 years. Here's something you can learn from a woman, Kate, at lately. Here's something you can learn from a woman who went from being a DJ to being a CEO of a tech company. Here's something you can learn from a person who publishes books, right? And we're trying to get those lessons out there. So we're creating content that is valuable to people. That's what we're doing. So we've got new people on here today. I'm looking over at our comments, but that's what you can do. You can create content that gives back. So yes, you want the giver's gain. You want to help people make connections. You want to do all of those things, but you can also do that on social media by giving back. So you're a plumbing company. Yes, you want people to call you when they really need their toilets snaked, right? But what if it's just a small one and you want to teach them how to plunge the toilet in the right way, or you want to teach them how to change the washer, because you're not going to go out for just a washer, but you're giving them information that's going to help them in some way, and they're going to come back to you. So giver's gain goes through life in general and business in general. It's not just the referrals that you give. It's not just the connections you make, but it's the education you give to your clients using social media. So are you using social media in a way that isn't about sell, sell, sell? Instead is about give, give, give. We're going to give you some information. We do a lot of that. I'm doing it now. I'm going to give you some information. I'm going to give you some more information. I'm going to give you even more information. And then eventually I'm going to say, oh, and by the way, you can find this over on my website. Or you can go to my campus and get it there. And we're going to sell, but only a little bit of selling, a lot of giving. So sometimes you have to go right to go left. That was my lesson for today. I hope you find it helpful. I haven't done a whole lot of these, but I was inspired this morning by that podcast, The Power of One. If you haven't listened to it, it's pretty good. I'm going to give you my honest review here. That was one of the first things I've actually learned on that podcast. The guy, I feel like I'm going to reach out to him and tell him he needs to be nicer, because he seems cranky a lot of the time when he's giving his presentations these days. He seems like he's a little bit angry at somebody. I'm not sure who, but he seems a little bit angry. So it's not my favorite podcast, but I did learn something from it. Keep learning, guys. Keep listening, because you might learn something new. I hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.